Alright guys, welcome to another edition of the Anything Wrestling Podcast. We're back here today for a very special episode. Once again, we got a triple threat going. You got the Shant, Dan, the Men, and the Commish. Guys, how we doing?
I'm back.
He was only gone for an episode, but he's back.
Hey, an episode could be a long time.
But as the advocate, I need my clients here.
What are you an advocate for?
Of the podcast.
You gotta give it a proper, introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Commish, and I will be the advocate of this special episode that we have in store for you today.
Beautiful.
I do want to say this before we start.
Yes.
Someone recently did pass away. Jim the Anvil Neidhart, great career. Unfortunately, Father Time has a way of taking away some of the greats. So a moment of silence. Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Yes, thank you, Jim. God bless. Today we're here to talk about something that's special to all of us, and that is one of the better WrestleManias in the last couple of years.
We got WrestleMania 31 brought to you by Mountain Dew Kickstart. Kickstart your day with Mountain Dew.
Or with water. So we got the pre-show here. This first match, we got the Fatal 4-Way for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Los Matadores versus New Day versus the Usos versus Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro walk away as the winners. Did you guys see this match in recent memory, and what do we think about it?
I'm going to say, for a pre-starter, or a kickstart to the show, I kind of found this match, it was a little entertaining, not as much, just because with
Los
Fatal...
Matadores was there.
No. It was the little bull that ended up in a
Torito.
sharpshooter. That was the funniest thing ever.
That was actually a really good spot.
I don't know. There's just something about, a Fatal 4-Way where it's just a regular tag team match doesn't excite me. When you have something like a ladders involved, or, something where there's no holds barred, or you had a stipulation that makes it more interesting, then I'm more excited for it.
Or
Right.
even elimination where there's sort of this countdown to get you hyped.
Yeah.
I like eliminations. I feel like that would add on to it.
But this was pretty straightforward. And even then, most of these participants, you'd see them right back in a few minutes later. So I didn't really find this match to be, the greatest thing to, really have, overall. But I'm glad it was at least in the pre-show.
Right.
Because it wasn't something that you could really jump into the moment of WrestleMania.
I think one of the Usos also got hurt in the middle of this match. But Dan,
Yeah.
what did you think?
It was an okay match. I was a fan of Tyson and Cesaro. They had a fun dynamic. They seemed like they got along really well.
Yeah.
And so just seeing them as the champions there during that time frame was pretty fun.
Yes.
So, no, the overall match, pretty entertaining. You had, like you said, Torito, the New Day. I think this was when the Usos were still kind of cold. They weren't like a huge thing at the time.
They were just building themselves up as a tag team.
They still had the face turn. I think the New Day were still faces before the heel turn, where they were able to really get over with the audience. So before all that had happened, these guys were, in pre-shows, tearing it up. So this next one, I do have some sentiments, though. You got the 30-man Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
The inaugural one, right?
Yeah.
The first one.
This was actually the first one to be on a pre-show, which to me kind of diminished the name. I remember being shocked. I'm like, wait, we're still on the pre-show. Why is this match still going on? And that's where it kind of lost a little bit of its name to me.
Yeah.
The Big Show winds up walking away as the winner for this one. And Big Show rightfully so, because you always have the similarities between Andre and Show.
The thing is, though, this match was intended to be Axelmania. Granted, he was the first elimination out, by the way, by the entire 29 other participants all just surfboarding him out of the ring. But what did you honestly feel about that match, watching it?
Well, I remember watching it live. Ryback was my guy. I wanted Ryback to win this match. And Ryback actually picked up some momentum because he eliminated, I think 7 or 8 people. And then when Ryback is gone, I see Damien Mizdow, The Miz, and The Big Show. I'm like, please. I thought this was Damien Mizdow's moment. I'm like, if they give this to him, he's on a big push. If they don't give this to him, that's it. He's done. There's no hope. And for a second, they get you where it's like, okay, they might push him. But then Big Show pulls out a Stevie Richards moment from Royal Rumble 2004, where he eliminates him. And we know where Sandow's career went from there. But I thought the Battle Royal itself was pretty cool. You know, a big, mix of all the gimmicks in there. But what did you guys think?
Kind of like you were saying, when you had Mizdow show up there at the end, it was for me one of those moments where like you're looking at it and you go, I understand why they're probably going to give it to Big Show, but I'd like them to give it to Damien, and then they didn't. And so you're right. I think that if they'd put Damien, Sandow, Mizdow, Aaron Rex over the Big Show in this situation, I think it would have been better for his career. But yes. I don't know how many eggs they had in their Damien Miz basket at the time.
I just think overall, like, it's a great match. It's something honoring the late Andre the Giant. Yes, you give the victory to the next closest thing to him being the Big Show.
His son.
Formerly known as the Giant. For all you WCW fans.
Formerly known as Paul White.
But
formerly known as the Big Slow.
Still known. No, actually, no, he lost a lot of weight now.
I'm sure he's still known as Paul White, though.
Yeah. Has to be. For legal reasons. But I think the fact that, like, that was the deciding moment for Mizdow, or for at least, what's his name? It was like, here, either you're going to get your push, or the Big Show's going to be the one to decide your fate. And I think that's what it ultimately ended up being.
And the crowd was heavily behind it. When Miz, chucked out when Sandow chucked out the Miz, the crowd lost it, because I think they for a second were like, oh my God, they're going to do it.
Well, because he had initially at that point said he quit the Mizdow. Like Sandow was like, you know what, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready to be my own individual wrestler again. But obviously, fate had another thing coming.
Yeah, but then you also had this plant the seeds for what would eventually become the the women's Battle Royal, featuring the illustrious Uterus Trophy.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
That's so there's a lot of history with this match.
Really brought on a lot.
Changed the course of the WWE forever.
And changed the trophy. No, WWE, I'm serious. Please change that goddamn trophy.
Now we get on.
You might as well put Sunny on top of the trophy.
Maybe a Skype logo on there. Now we come on to the main show here. First of all, I want to ask you guys 2 questions. I want to take a survey here.
Why are you taking a survey?
Okay, fine. I'll just ask the question then. Okay, 2 questions. Did you guys watch this event live? And what did you think of the overall pay-per-view once it was over? Did it click in your brain that I think WWE just had a breakthrough because that was one of their greatest pay-per-views throughout the year? So did you watch it live, and what did you think before we get started on the main card?
I'm trying to remember if I watched it as it was happening or if I came home and watched the whole thing. I want to say I watched it live.
If you didn't watch it live, you can also catch it on the WWE Network for only $9.99.
$9.99?
Not $1,000, not $10, $9.99.
That's a good deal.
It's not negotiable, but it's very reasonable.
It's a good deal, though.
What a bargain.
Yeah. Catch all Roman Reigns matches on there, too.
We'll talk about this another time, but I just watched his NXT debut the other day. That was something. Anyway. Sean.
Sorry.
Are you still answering the question, or should I answer it?
Oh, did I not actually answer it?
You said you.
I think I watched it live. My response afterwards was, I was pretty content with this overall.
So okay, here's my thing. As we had discussed off air, this I would like to say I wish I saw live, but I had to see it afterwards because I think I was at work at the time. But this WrestleMania had a lot highlight wise that kind of like in a while, like because of a lot of things that were happening in the PG era, a lot of things were changing. So it kind of, I was driven away at one point. But the highlights of this whole event like made me really like, okay, I will go home, I will sit down, and I will watch this like verbatim, like from beginning to end, however I can. And when I did, I was like, wow, okay, this is well worth coming back as a full-time fan, not as like this part-timer, John Cena.
Brock Lesnar.
Brock, yeah, fan, you know, but it had a lot, and when we discuss certain matches, you'll see why, like, it really brought me back into it. Even with this first match we're gonna discuss, very appropriate for WrestleMania.
Definitely. You know, and I will just throw out there, yes, I was watching this live, and the second one it was done, I felt something. I'm like, they did something here. They did something different, where it wasn't just like any other pay-per-view where once that logo comes up, copyright, you know, 2015 or whatever, you're like, okay, there goes my 2 hours. You know, this one they did something with. So we're on the main show. Here we go. We got a ladder match for the first time in 5 years at a WrestleMania.
13 minutes, 47 seconds.
For the IC title, you got Bad News Barrett, who was going in as the champion, versus Dean Ambrose, versus Dolph Ziggler, versus Stardust, versus Luke Harper, versus R-Truth, versus Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan winds up walking out the winner.
So here's the thing. With this match, a ladder match appropriate being for WrestleMania, there's been a history with the Intercontinental Championship being a prestigious title for a ladder match. Obviously with Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon / Scott Hall.
Hey, yo.
You know,
Man.
making it the historic match that it is. Now you have how many individuals was that? Like seven? Oh,
5, 6, 7.
yeah, 7 guys.
Lucky 7.
Any one of them could have won, personally.
Except for R-Truth.
Who was
I have to agree
definitely
with that.
scared of heights.
I'm sorry.
apparently.
And spiders.
Oh, little Jimmy. But
That's why you lost.
but you have these guys who like all could have been a great Intercontinental Champion, or with Barrett retaining his title. This match alone, like, you got to see who can I label as the crazy versus the craziest?
Well, Dean Ambrose has got to be there.
Of course.
Was this the last WrestleMania that Cody was on?
I want to.
No. He completed at next year's WrestleMania as well.
So this was like his final WrestleManias before he went on his own way to becoming the American Nightmare, Cody.
However, this was Daniel Bryan's last WrestleMania before he returned, which, I mean, I felt like it was very appropriate to have Bryan win, and that's what I think kind of, you know, helped start the show off on the right foot. Was Daniel Bryan has this WrestleMania at WrestleMania 30, gets injured, comes back, and he gets the run for the Intercontinental Championship, you know?
Which ends up being a little bittersweet because it's a short-lived title reign.
Yeah.
And there, as they kept saying in the announce table, like, you ended WrestleMania 30 with WrestleMania, and you begin WrestleMania 31 with WrestleMania.
Yes.
I think that was all appropriate. Match-wise, I loved it.
Yes.
Ladder matches always bring out the best in any superstar or wrestler, however you want to.
Except for Joey Mercury.
She, of course. That was kind of.
The sheer mention of his name reminds us of that horror. Rest in peace, his nose.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, you can catch Armageddon 2006, 7,
I think 6.
on the WWE Network for only $9.99.
$9.99?
It's not $10.
$9.99.
What did you guys think? I think the most memorable and the craziest 2 spots was a superplex off the ladder to Wade Barrett by I forget who, and the infamous power bomb from Luke Harper to Dean Ambrose through a ladder. And I don't know if you guys know this, but he gets knocked on that ladder, and all of a sudden he's got blood gushing out. One of the medics comes in and goes, "We got to put staples in you," and he's like, "Okay." And they're like, "You ready?" He's like, "What?" All of a sudden,
I think other
ringside.
than the superplex and the powerbomb to hell through that ladder, because that ladder just snapped.
By God, he is broken in half.
man's got a family and Renee Young.
I think it was great. Like, wow.
Pause.
He took it all out for me, guys. You okay there?
Did you remember?
the shock of watching that power bomb again.
Or did you remember Roman Reigns?
Both.
Okay.
That can cause coughing, just so you guys know.
All right. Continue.
I think like the one highlight that I loved was Dolph Ziggler himself. The man was so relentless in like just how fast he would get up a ladder, how quick he would interfere with someone trying to get to the belt. Like he said it himself before and during. He's gonna be the one to steal the show.
This match really showed what Amy Schumer was talking about.
Wow, that reference.
He's athletic. What?
In more ways than one.
Anyway,
Hey-o.
I will just say this. Before Daniel Bryan grabbed that belt, once again, I've been a Dolph Ziggler advocate for a long time. Dolph was coming off of his Survivor Series win, which I thought was brilliant, and he had a run with the Intercontinental Championship. So I was like, if not Daniel Bryan, it's about goddamn time Dolph Ziggler gets a run with this title.
he feels strongly about this one.
Strongly.
Guys, it's been like 12 years, and the poor guy hasn't even had like
He's been around for 12 years.
2000 and... Well, if you count the Spirit Squad.
I do. Unfortunately,
12
you have
years.
to.
12
Jesus
years.
Christ.
Yep, exactly.
You're a saint, Dolph. I don't know how. No, not that I'm sad you're still around, but geez, man, I don't know how you
To put up
held
with
out
those
this
four.
long. I miss Wade Barrett. I don't blame him for leaving, but
His gimmick was on point.
But I loved him.
Well, his change to that gimmick was better than what he was as a Nexus leader.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that Wade Barrett once every like 8 months had a good way of changing up his gimmick. First it was the leader of the Nexus, then it was the Barrett Barrage, then it
the
was...
Core. Wasn't he the leader of the Core also?
Yeah.
We don't have to mention that. Then it
Oh, it
was...
needs to be out.
Equate brand Nexus.
At this time it was Bad News Barrett, then it was King Barrett. He had a good way of always changing his gimmick, and it's a shame because the guy was over and he could have done a lot of things in the business had he not been gone.
Yeah, no, lot of strong talent in the match, but like we said, ending last year, coming to this year with Bryan,
Very appropriate.
Yes.
great
Yes.
moment.
Yes.
But like I said, it was bittersweet to watch his career wind down for the moment.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly after that.
We move on to our second match on the main card. Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. Randy Orton walks away with the win. You know, I thought that this would...
Speaking of Joey Mercury. Continue.
J&J Security.
I thought this match was great for a one-on-one match. I thought this match was brilliant. They had some really good spots, and of course they had the infamous spot with the curb stomp into the RKO. And I thought that for a WrestleMania match, you need to have that kind of moment.
Well, the whole gimmick was sold that the future is now. Seth is the future.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, this is okay. So this is one of the matches that really brought me back into like the WWE. You have what I've seen with Randy Orton always being, you know, the guy, you know, the man who has been the legend killer, the apex predator, you know, like just the future. And then you have Seth Rollins come in. You know, he's part of the Shield, and then he disbands it himself, joins the Authority, self-proclaiming that he's the new future at the time. And honestly, boy, looking at these two, it's kind of like, you know, your older self fighting a younger you.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, both Randy and Seth have that similarity of being like, not opportunists, well, technically, we'll find out later, but just being the guy that, like, you know, he's going to be someone for the WWE. He's going to be
In the next
face.
coming years.
Exactly. And you can't not deny it.
Yeah.
Because they have that talent. Granted that Randy has had the talent throughout his family lineage for, like, how many years now? Like 20
3
plus
generations.
years. Yeah. With Seth, like, it's just him.
It's him.
And he's already showing us with the last, like, 5 years now
Yeah.
already the championships he's won, the matches he's been in.
Highly decorated.
Yeah.
Yes. Dan, what did you think of this match?
It was good. So that's one of my favorite RKOs ever. Is the counter, the curb stomp into the RKO. But no, I really liked the match. Like you said, it was kind of like watching Randy versus Shadow Randy, where he kind of had to face his future. I think Randy had been a little stagnant, a little stale for a few years up at this point.
Yeah.
And as we've seen lately, he's flipped that switch and he's gone back to being a heel, which he's said for years that he prefers to be a heel.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I think I love heel Randy Orton more than I did face Randy
Oh
Orton.
yeah, and I think I don't want to put this into the universe, suggest that Randy was trying to manipulate things, but I feel like he might have purposely sandbagged being a face in order to try and get WWE to flip him back.
I think so too. Yeah, you could see it. Like,
Yeah.
if something doesn't work for him, he finds a way to get what he wants.
Yeah.
Granted, Randy being Randy though.
But I think when you pair him with somebody like Seth, you're gonna get a good match because Randy's not untalented.
Oh, never.
He's just bored sometimes.
I will say that outside of this match, this feud was actually brilliant. You know, with Seth kind of injuring Randy with that curb stomp to the steel stairs. Randy Orton leaves, he comes back, and he, teases that, hey, how do you know I'm not going to, stab you in the back when you least expect it? It's like, I'm kidding, it's fine. Then gives Seth the beatdown, which is so entertaining to watch, even though Seth's my guy right now. But I thought this feud was great, and especially when you cap it off with a match like this at WrestleMania, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And before we jump into the next match, just final thought on this. During that match, I was not cheering for Seth. Granted, I like the guy now, but at the moment, before the match started, I was all in on Randy. As the match was going on and Randy wins it, I was like, okay, Seth won me over. I think I can start appreciating him
Yeah.
more.
I thought, I can remember thinking that this might be a sleeper. This
Yeah.
match might have been a sleeper, because if you look at all the other matches, there is all these theatrics and all these stipulations, but it was just Randy versus Seth. There was no special, stipulation here. But hey, Seth proved himself, definitely. I know this one is going to have a special place in your heart. The no DQ match, Sting versus Triple H.
Let me chime in with one little quick fact because I was just scrolling through the page about this. This is the longest match on the entire card.
Really?
It is actually.
Because of all the theatrics that went down. This was longer than the Battle Royal. Not by much. It was 31 seconds longer than the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
Wow.
And the next closest match was your main event at 16 minutes.
Well, that's
so this was an
understandable.
18-minute and 36-second match.
So, before we get into the match itself, my God, the whole theatrics on both sides, the whole build-up. I think the build-up was better than the theatrics because, okay, obviously we know who Triple H is, who he's been, how he is for the company. Nothing gets in his way. He will protect his family and his wife, of course. And then you have Sting, the icon, the one WCW superstar or wrestler that decided not to come along, even though he was offered at the time during the whole invasion, hey, you're more than welcome to come join us. We want you here. But he chose not to. And then the whole buildup of him
You're hired.
thanks, Vince. Kind of observing Triple H for 14 plus years. I've seen you manipulate your way into where you are. I've seen you do things that are unbecoming of an athlete in my eyes. To me, and then the build-up to him finally showing up at Survivor Series, I thought, okay, I finally get to see my guy from WCW finally being the promotion that he kind of deserved to be in
Yeah.
this whole time. Granted, if he did join, I think he would have become even bigger than what he already was. And with WrestleMania being his first match, I think it was the right time as far as match goes. But the whole gimmicks before it, as far as his intro, Triple H's intro, oh my God.
Terminator
no.
fans, anyone?
Granted, I'm a fan of Terminator movies. Just why promote that one?
Well,
Hey man, Amelia Clark.
before we get into
They're
the,
great.
I mean, okay, what did you guys think of the match? I thought the match was brilliant.
Before the whole interruptions?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking everything.
Oh, including, okay.
I thought this
You
was
want to
great.
take this one?
Well, I enjoyed the match. I think it was what we expected it to be.
The Monday Night Wars just basically boiled down
Yeah.
to one match.
And there was a lot of tension. There was a lot of story, a lot of backstory built into this. And then, for me, once they started to bring everybody out, that's when everything kind of slowed down. And then the ending was a little awkward because I would have preferred to see these two wrap up their match. That's the end of the match. Then you have the friends come down, and then you got the people who come in to make the save, and then you just have this aftermatch kind of beatdown thing.
Yeah.
Versus having everybody and their mother interject themselves into this match. Like, I get why. It's like, oh, you've got these two titans of the Monday Night Wars.
Not Titan Towers.
Of Triple H and Sting fighting, and I can't remember the line from Pirates of the Caribbean, but Barbossa looks at him and says, "Jack, how do you feel knowing we're two immortals locked in never-ending combat?" That's what, like, the vibe you were kind of getting from this. And then you start to bring the friends in to interfere, and it's like, this could have been so nice. Could have been such a nice moment.
Don't you have a question, Dan, of why?
Why are you bringing them all down to the ring to interfere? So that's my thoughts. Did I enjoy it? Yes.
Now we talk about the winner of the match. I'm going to throw this out there. I love Sting. You guys both know I went as Sting a couple years ago for Halloween, so I love Sting. But honestly, I was cheering for Triple H to win this
So
match.
you're along the same lines as JBL was, because my God, the whole commentary of the match, he was just feeding it into us that it's all about us. You know, Sting and all them trying to get us fired.
He was
oh
talking
my God.
about that line being drawn between WCW and WWE the whole time.
Yep.
Well, do you guys remember when he was the wrestling god and they had revived ECW and he was like the leader of the front?
Oh my God.
Hey.
I remember that.
Just in case if you forgot, JBL, the only reason why you were champion is because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul, for reminding us about that, by the
If
way.
you guys have not seen that clip, you can catch it on the WWE Network.
How much?
For a non-negotiable, but reasonable price of only $9.99.
Not 1,000,
Not $10,
but
$9.99.
okay.
You might be able to find it faster on YouTube, though.
Dan, you're killing my plug here.
No, but he's right.
Why are you killing my plug?
You just stole his bit, too.
What?
Anyways,
He stole Steve Austin's bit.
what?
You stole it too.
What?
We're being sued.
What?
The show's canceled.
Okay. Before we get
We're
any
still
further,
here.
Before we get any further with litigation, okay. So
Wrestler's Court.
my take on this whole match, it was great. I feel the same way too. Did we really need the D-Generation X NWO coming in the middle of the match? Not really. Could we have had it after? Absolutely. Did it still work out great for me? Yeah, it did. Obviously, the one thing that I knew was going to happen, because, okay, here's the thing. When you see only X-Pac, Road Dogg, and Badass Billy Gunn come out, you know you're missing a key player of D-Generation X, and he's always going to be...
Oh.
Well, that one's hard to really bring back. But
When did that happen? Was that before this?
What?
what?
When she passed?
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Joni. Continue.
But you know Triple H always has something under his sleeve with Shawn, like as like that final insurance piece.
I was going to say a sledgehammer, but that works too.
Well, that's
Well,
under the ring.
that was used as well. But like the fact that you see this, like, okay, where's the main leader of Degeneration X? He's not really here yet. But then the surprise of seeing, you know, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan siding with Sting, even though Sting was always against the NWO. I think the only reason that bit worked is because technically you could say
WCW.
that, and Sting was a member of the NWO at one point.
Wasn't he Wolfpack?
It's still considered NWO,
It's the same letters.
just different colors.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But here's my thing that I observed in this match. These two were at their prime, but I don't know if you guys noticed, they bruise really easily now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you noticed Triple H's legs, like Sting's
Yes.
like ribs.
Like an overripe peach.
But
Jeez,
I
felt so bad for the two.
But
Like,
was that the match, or was there like a pyro thing that went wrong? And because if you recall, one year Triple H got severely burned. So I don't know if this is something
no,
happened.
that was the match.
Was that the match?
You can tell with his legs, like they're just bruised up really bad. And I just
Jesus.
thought, like, okay, we're seeing Triple H's age come into effect and into play. We're seeing Sting as well, and it's like, my God, these guys are like putting on like a show for us, but at the same time almost killing themselves in the process.
Triple H has some sensitive capillaries.
Seriously.
The one thing that I actually did not think about when this happened live was, so the match ends when Triple H, rears back and hits Sting with the sledgehammer. 1, 2, 3, the match is over.
With a broken sledgehammer, mind you.
We got the handshake, but then I didn't realize this when people are like, that's F word, that's fake, because Sting just got hit with the sledgehammer. How do you quickly get up and shake the guy's hand? And I didn't think about that. I'm like, okay, I can agree with that. That's a little too quick to get hit with the sledgehammer. A minute
Walk
later,
it off.
oh yeah, good match.
Well, they kind of tried to sell it where he hesitated to shake his hand, even though Hunter put his hand out first, right?
Yeah.
Like Sting kind of like walked into it. I'm gonna not do it. Okay, there it is. I'll shake your hand too. But honestly, I think with this match, it was great. Like it ended the Monday Night War right then and there.
For JBL.
Oh, God, I swear. But
Michael.
Maggle Cole. No, I was just gonna say I think that the reason that they had to that he recovered so quickly, outside of just suspension of disbelief, is the fact that, like we said, longest match on your goddamn card. We had to move on to AJ Lee and Paige versus the Bella Twins, but go ahead.
I can skip this match because it was a gimme for me. Because okay.
Well, okay, are we
Mention, yeah, we're done with Sting
Okay,
and
so let's
Triple
move
H.
on to the next match here. We got a tag team match. It is the Bella Twins versus AJ Lee and Paige. AJ Lee and Paige walk out as the winners. Before we get started and bamboozle this match, let me just say that the build-up for this match was actually pretty decent. There was about a promo or two where they were actually kind of blurring those lines between like fiction and reality, and they were actually doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I think so.
But I was cheering for AJ Lee and Paige the whole time, and once again, I got what I wanted. So
I kind of called it before even knowing the match. Like, I kind of didn't want the Bella Twins to win at all. Because honestly, I get it. They're the biggest thing for the women's division. They have their own show. It's all about them, blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever, E! Network. Come at me. I don't care. I love Paige. I do. Granted, with all the stuff we now know about her.
I guess we're on the same page
I love her more.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
for all the wrong reasons.
But seeing AJ Lee again,
Sorry, Paige.
I thought I thought that was great. Like, she had always been one of my favorite divas as well, and then I always saw her more as an athlete than a diva, and it was great to see those two like pair up as a team as opposed to having their rivalry come back to life, because they had a good run as well. Especially at the time, Paige was becoming a great athlete in her own right.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this, is that I feel like WWE completely screwed up the feud between Brie Bella and Nikki Bella. If you guys recall, just a couple months earlier, Nikki Bella cost Brie the match at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
They have this very, very stale and bad feud, and all of a sudden, okay, we're gonna forgive each other and let's just move on. And I feel like with the AJ Lee and Paige rivalry too, at first it was pretty good. Then it lost a little bit of its touch. So I thought that if the show could have been a little bit more longer, I think putting these two against each other in separate matches would have maybe been a whole lot more marketable, as opposed to
Or-
slapping them together.
You could have had, well, I think this would have worked. The fact that they lose, they get frustrated with each other after the match. You have AJ Lee and Paige leave. You have the Bella Twins in the ring like, oh, this is your fault. You know, you didn't switch and blah, 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 like they normally did as a tag team. You could have had something there build up to your following events, but no, it's just,
I mean,
it went stale.
The Divas title was not even on the line at this year's WrestleMania. I mean, Nikki just walked in as champion and walked out as champion without even defending it, you know?
Yeah. So for me, for AJ and Paige, I love both of them.
Yes.
Yes. But yes.
Fantasy world, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyway, so I still love Paige. I'm sad that she was forced to stop competing in ring.
Well, if Daniel Bryan is any consolation,
I don't think so. It's a different injury.
I hate to quote Vince, but never say never. Continue.
But God bless her. And as for AJ, I'm assuming Phil played a little bit into her departure too. I don't know that he's the main reason, but he probably didn't help.
That's CM Punk for all you that don't know.
If they could get her to make an appearance at Evolution, do you know how big of a pop that would get?
She got the most rated for Who Do You Want to See Come Back.
I saw that.
I personally voted for her too. I'm not gonna lie.
I would want her to come back.
I would love that so much, especially since Caitlyn just came back for
Love it. Mae Young Classic.
Mae Young Classic.
Can kind of revive that too a little bit.
But so I like you guys, I wanted those two to win. The Bella Twins have grown on me a little bit in recent years, but if you gave me a poll and you said pick between AJ Lee and Paige
I thought
or
you
the
were
Bella
going somewhere
Twins,
else.
stop being weird. If you gave me a
You just got it.
if you gave me a survey
No, I was there.
And-
Survey time.
and you asked which of these teams I like the most, I would go with AJ and Paige every time.
I think that these two, it's true. They would put those promos that we're the freaks, we're the weirdos, we're the ones who are not blonde and all curvy and thin, like your typical diva at the time. Paige actually was earning a reputation as the anti-diva at this point.
I was just gonna say, I think that barring what has transpired with each of them, I think these two were slated. They were on their way to be this generation's Trish Lita.
Yes.
Like, they were gonna be the definitive female stars of this era.
Yes.
And it just, I still think that to a degree they are. I think people still regard them highly. I just don't think that they get to continue building their legacy the way we would have liked.
Oh, I regard them highly. Oh, that I do.
Moving on. This next match, you got the U.S. title match. Cousin Rusev
Crush!
who walked in as the U.S. champion versus John Cena, who walked out the winner.
Like watching Rocky 4.
Word life, this is basic thugonomics.
Wrong era.
Oh.
Let me just say this.
Rocky 4.
I was not a Cena fan at this time. I still kind of am not. I am a Rusev fan now. I wasn't really a Rusev fan then. The
Wait.
reason being-
What day is it? What day is it?
New Day?
No.
Lana Day!
Close. It's Rusev Day.
I don't know how I always forget
Come on.
that.
How often does this day happen?
Every day ending in Y, apparently.
Oh. Does that include Christmas?
Well,
I don't
actually,
know, we might have
no,
to
no, no,
do-
no, no. Christmas Day.
Oh.
I don't know. I kind of want to exclude it, but okay.
I mean, it still falls on an
Oh, no,
actual
yeah.
day. But I appreciate John Cena for what he is.
Like life.
This is basic economics. But I appreciate John Cena for what he's done, what he's brought to the industry, and what role he's filled over the years.
I can respect that too. And here's the thing. I was begging for Cena to win this match because Rusev's run had just become so repetitive. Every single night it was accolade, Russian flag comes down, he has his hands up in the air, Russian anthem playing. I'm like, this is getting... I get it, you're pushing him, and that's great as like, you know, the Bulgarian brute, but this is getting so repetitive. You're not doing anything new.
I think it was a weird feud to pick a winner for, because you were kind of about Cena, but you were also, like you said, kind of about that build,
stale, yeah,
that version of Rusev.
But okay, so here's my thing. With that buildup of Rusev, like, you have the irony that he's holding the United States Championship,
right.
And you know he's the Russian advocate, you know, pushing it for everyone that, you know, Russia is the country, and then I think you have the right person with John Cena to be the one not only to end his streak, because Rusev had a streak of his own at the time, but okay, it's a different streak. Please let it go. We have to move on.
But
And if you haven't heard our previous episode of The Streak, find it on YouTube.
And if you haven't seen WrestleMania 30, where the most famous streak in all of
here we
WrestleMania
go.
gets snapped, you can watch it. Actually, you don't want to watch it. I'm not going to promote it. Forget it.
$9.99. WWE Network.
but
Moving on, but
let's not forget, Putin sent Rusev acknowledgments. So
you did have a buildup of America too.
yeah. Oh God, I clicked on Alex Riley. Go ahead.
Ooh.
But
Speaking of Cena, careful.
you have obviously John Cena, like I said, he's America's poster boy. He represents America.
I kind of miss that spinner belt.
I don't.
I liked the. Let me clarify. I really liked the U.S. spinner belt. That one was fun. I hated the spinner WWE title.
Oh, I hate that belt so much, by the way.
I don't know how bad CM Punk tried to get that thing replaced, because I remember in one of his promos, like, the second one I win that belt, I'm gonna get replaced because that thing looks horrible. And,
Like, he called it.
but for this whole run, he still continued with that belt. I don't know if that was a political thing backstage where they just didn't want to do it, but
Probably.
But as far as the match goes, like, how did you feel about this match, Sean?
springboard stunner.
Oh, was this the debut of Cena doing the springboard stuff?
Yeah.
I didn't. I was watching with my buddy, and he's like, "Dude, was that a stunner?" I'm like, "No," because it was from backwards. The camera was they had their backs to the camera, so I'm like, "That wasn't a stunner. What are you talking about?" Then we see the replay from the side.
It was awful.
Springboard
The Eclipse.
stunner.
I will say this though. I will give credit where it's due. Cena had the most memorable U.S. run in the last ever.
Yeah.
I think that he did great things with that belt. He really, really did. And I got to give credit where it's due. That U.S. Open invitation that we would see every night was almost producing 5-star matches on a weekly basis. So I got to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, and this was when the U.S. title, not to blame Rusev for it, but this was when the U.S. title didn't seem as significant.
Yeah.
And so slapping that on Cena, your marquee name, was a good call by WWE.
And it was so weird because at this point, Cena's a main eventer.
Yeah.
It's like you almost wouldn't think that he would go back to holding a U.S. title, but
But he's a company man, and they
Yeah.
were like, hey, we need this belt to actually mean something again. We're going to put it on you. And he was like, all right, whatever.
unlike Roman.
I imagine that's exactly how he responded. Yeah, whatever.
I think John Cena was trying to make the United States title great again. Go ahead.
He was trying to make the belt look strong.
I can't think of the acronym. MUSTGA?
Sure.
Make the United States title great again. MUSTGA.
Yep.
Gross.
I'm sorry. Before we get into the next match,
It ain't a match.
Which we've discussed before, but we'll bring it back.
there was a segment that took up some time in WrestleMania.
That's exactly what I was going to get to. So we have a segment here. It's a 30-minute segment. Do you have the runtime on that, Dan, by chance?
On what?
The segment.
No,
No.
it's not on there.
So you have a segment here where Triple H and Stephanie come out and
After Triple H had a great match, by the way.
And Stephanie comes out doing
what she usually does,
turning it, saying, record-breaking crowd, we're proud, and it's
93,000 people in the Silverdome.
Did at one point she say that Levi Stadium was her stadium?
I think so.
That was the worst thing I could have ever heard.
They'll do that.
Well, she bought ECW. Why not Levi Stadium?
But also 49ers.
What was left of ECW?
I'm sorry, what? What was left of what?
ECW.
No, what?
ECW.
EC-dub.
And then The Rock comes out, surprise appearance, and then
this is what we're talking about.
and then Steph
this
slaps,
bad segment.
Steph slaps the piss out of The Rock, and The Rock goes, I would never hit a woman. Then we go to Ronda Rousey in the crowd. Ronda Rousey comes in.
Oh, how ironic! It's at a WrestleMania.
And then she does a armbar takedown on Triple H and holds Stephanie in that little position where she's like...
She could have broken the arm at that point.
For a second, I'm like, she's going to break her arm because she was like twisting that thing like there was no tomorrow.
So, okay.
Ronda's biggest weakness is the fact that she's used to being an actual fighter. And so, especially here, because she wasn't training to be a wrestler.
At the time.
She was not... I don't think in her brain she was thinking of being safe. She was thinking of, how would I disable this person?
So here's the thing. For the half hour that it was too long.
Especially because it led to nothing.
This could have been 10 minutes at tops.
I had a note about that. It was almost like planting a seed, and it's like I said before.
What seed?
But that's what I'm saying.
For mediocrity?
The plan was to have these four in a match the next year, and then that didn't happen.
For years later with the wrong person, even though we know that the person that replaced The Rock, he does suck. He sucks. He sucks. He sucks.
But
he sucks.
what I was going to say is that I said this where you can have the AJ Lee and Paige have a separate match, the Bellas have a separate match. If you cut down 15 minutes on this segment, we could have had one more match added to the card. But they go 30 minutes, and I'm like, I get it. You need a promotional, plug, in the whole card.
For your next WrestleMania.
But I thought it was
unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like I said, you could have cut it down to 10 minutes. But
especially because I don't think Cena Rusev was that high energy of a match that you needed to give your audience a fucking break. Sorry.
Well, come on. No, you're fine to curse. It's just my problem with
you're fine.
With that is, again, that match...
Is that an unprotected chair shot?
Sure. Where the camera angle still shows the chair shot.
You're fine for $9.99.
But my thing is, it's just... The Rusev-Cena match. You knew that the title was going to change. Especially the way it ends. Like, come on. We all saw that, okay, I'm going to stand here. Lana's on the apron. Okay, now I move. Perfect time. Like, that whole ending was planned. And then you have the worst 30-minute bit ever of an event that's supposed to bring me back in. And granted, I love The Rock. I love the Triple H rivalry they've had. Yeah, you got Ronda Rousey in the front all of a sudden. But before that, John Cena's freaking dad and mom were sitting right there in the front before her. So, what the fuck?
Ronda beat up John's parents and took their seats. She's a bully.
Don't be a bully.
Anyways,
be a star.
So you're saying this is the worst segment in the history of the WWE? Which is
I'm saying it's the worst segment in WrestleMania history.
In WrestleMania history.
Really?
It's in top 5.
Even in a company that had Doink the Clown.
Depends what Doink the Clown bit we're talking about, though.
Guys, we had Suffer and Succotash.
Okay, and
that wasn't at WrestleMania.
Let me just say this. I mean, it's very appropriate since we're getting to the next match here. The year before, when the streak was broken.
Wow, he said it without hesitation.
No, I said it with hesitation. I had to pause and close my eyes for a second.
And embrace himself.
When that match happened, we had the 30 Diva Battle Royal.
Continue.
We had the 30 Diva Battle Royal, which I feel like was kind of like the gap that the audience needed from the streak and the Daniel Bryan match that was going to occur. You need that little break time. But here, it's like you said, this year it was kind of off because it's like Cena and Rusev was not as long of a match, and it was kind of exciting, so it was weird placing. But after this segment, we get to a match where I'm going to share my sentiments about this, as you guys know. We have Bray Wyatt versus Undertaker. Undertaker obviously walks away with the win.
In a match that on paper should have been a lot of fun. Should have been pretty good.
Not that it wasn't.
Not that it wasn't, but it wasn't anywhere near where it should have been. And we talked about this on the Streak video, where Bray got injured. Jesus, what? 2 weeks before WrestleMania?
Yeah.
How did that injury happen? I still never knew.
I don't remember. I think it might have been some sort of silly ass motorcycle thing, but I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
It was something off air where even he didn't even know what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah, he injured himself in his personal life and fucking derailed his Undertaker match.
Where was JoJo?
Anyway.
Let's get into this match. You have Bray Wyatt, who had been building himself up as kind of like this current generation's Undertaker.
New face of fear.
Yeah. And then you have the actual face of fear, who has been here for so many years. It's like generationalism clashing. It's like Hulk Hogan and The Rock again.
Yeah, this is sort of like one of your dream character matches, like what the Undertaker and Sting
Yeah.
would be.
Or the Undertaker and Finn Balor, the Demon King.
Yeah. Well,
that one would be fun.
It would be.
personally, to me, I can remember watching this match live. I was actually quiet. I wasn't cheering. I was quiet because all I wanted to know was, can the Undertaker come back from the previous year where the streak was broken, and can he be the Undertaker? That's what I wanted to see. Can the Undertaker come back and be the Undertaker? Because the year before, a lot of people say that wasn't the Undertaker, that was Mark Calloway.
So, are you seeing this match as only a fan, not as like a true technical WWE fan is now? Like, where you know where they're going with this, what the outcome is. This is like you know beforehand who's gonna win. Were you honestly watching it like that, or were you watching it as like, hey, I'm still upset about what happened last year. I'm not gonna do research about this. I just want to see this brand new perspective.
Do right by the Undertaker.
Yeah, I was just watching it like presently, like in that moment, like what's gonna happen, you know? And the Undertaker came back, and I told this to you guys. JBL had a brilliant remark where he said the gunslinger is back in town, and that to me just fit perfectly. I'm like, yes, amen to that, because they had me convinced for a second that Undertaker was going to lose this match. I think, Bray hit the Sister Abigail for the second time?
Yeah.
First time, second time. And for a second, I'm like, that's it. It's over. And then Undertaker just barely kicks out. But I thought this match was great. I think the Undertaker was still at that point in very good form. And Gunslinger is back in town. And I'm like, this is perfect.
As far as the match goes, like, I kind of went into it like, okay, the streak had been broken. This is someone new. Are we gonna start seeing any opponent the Undertaker gets actually beat him this time? Granted that if Bray did not get injured, I think we would have seen a classic match that could have gone on a little longer, and Undertaker would have still won. Granted that the Undertaker was fully aware of his injury, it's like, okay, well, I can't really give it the best that I can, and he can't either. So I'm gonna do what I can do for. How long was the match?
15-12.
Yeah.
That's
so
not bad.
15 minutes of as much as I can do.
That
But-
is, if we exclude the pre-show, that is your third longest match on the card.
Yeah.
Which is the Undertaker match, so.
Your thoughts?
I really only have one last thing to say, and after they'd broken the streak the year before, if Bray hadn't been injured, I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have considered putting Bray over the Undertaker too, to try and give him some sort of rub. But after having Brock Lesnar brutalize The Undertaker the previous year, literally, and storyline-wise, I don't think you could have put an injured guy over The Undertaker and it wouldn't have hurt people's opinion. So I think they had, especially once Bray hurt himself, you had to put The Undertaker over, otherwise it was going to look real bad.
Yeah. Well, I thought this was one of Undertaker's better WrestleMania matches in recent years. And, yeah, let's move on. So,
To the main event.
we got the WWE World Heavyweight Title match, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns.
Oh, what a match.
The beginning of the Warriors versus the Cavs.
16 minutes, 43 seconds.
Wait, okay, so let's talk about the one-on-one match first. Wait, just seconds before
the
Seth comes
surprise,
out.
yeah.
Before the surprise. I'm going to put it out there. You guys know I'm not a Roman Reigns fan. I was not a fan of him getting this push, but this match was awesome. It was a...
It was a match.
It was a...
It was a match.
a hard-hitting contest. These guys were... If you go back and you watch that match, only on the WWE Network for only $9.99.
$9.99?
On $9.99.
$9.99.
These guys are literally hitting each other. I'm not talking about like, oh, we're gonna fake
We're
it.
selling
like,
it,
no,
yeah.
they're hitting each
Yeah,
other.
they went stiff on this match.
Yes. And we're watching, we're like, Jesus Christ, they're beating... This is like UFC, like...
Roman gets busted open, doesn't he, in his
No,
mouth?
no, he does not.
Well, I don't mean like
in his
dripping
mouth.
from
In his
face.
mouth.
In
yes.
his mouth, yeah, but then Brock gets busted open in his face.
Yeah.
Really bad, too.
And I heard that Vince
That's
was
off
actually
the,
pissed off.
Was that off the
ring post.
Yeah.
Was that a blade job or was that real?
I
No,
think
that
it was
was-
rumored it was a blade. And that's why
It looked
Vince-
real
'Cause
to
I
me.
thought it was real.
It looked real to me. I mean, okay.
I think if you go back and you watch carefully, you might be able to see something a little off happen. Because I think after I heard about the blading, I think I went back and saw, and there's an awkward moment somewhere. But
The thing is,
I
though,
don't know.
Brock should be used to like getting busted open because he's been in the UFC for a while now.
Yeah.
So seeing Brock busted open should not be a surprise to anybody.
Yeah, but see, it's going against the WWE's
Yeah.
incessant thing of the PG era.
Thank
But
God, we're in the reality era.
if you guys,
I say that
noticed,
lightly.
if you guys noticed, this was the first match I think that introduced the whole. Oh, Roman Reigns is gonna get 20 finishes, but he's gonna kick out. Did you guys notice?
Yeah.
This is the first match where that started being a thing.
But before
where
we
he gets hit with a bunch of finishes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We didn't know that was going to happen. We didn't know Roman was going to get this excessive, unneeded push.
Let it out.
This okay. I'm gonna
I hate the man.
I'm gonna jump in. I understand you hate him. This match, I think, is exactly what it should have been
Exactly.
I think so too.
because I think people were shitting on Roman a little bit leading up to this match.
A lot,
But
As he deserves.
including me.
and I think this was also he wasn't cutting good promos. And
Suffering succotash?
Yeah, he wasn't cutting good promos. The build was a little off. People weren't clicking with him. I saw that he was trying. He was trying to do his best.
Here's the thing. You have two guys that are heels. One that is supposed to get a push, and then one that is just a generated asshole.
Well,
Because come on, you have Brock Lesnar with the greatest manager of all time. Yes, I said it. I'm a Paul Heyman guy. And so was CM Punk.
he's not a manager.
He's an advocate.
Thank you.
My advocate, by
Did you
the way.
say an activist?
No, he said advocate.
Maybe.
Hey, the man can do a lot of things,
He's
okay?
a philanthropist. But no, this match was exactly what it should have been. Roman should have taken all of the damage that he took. When Brock took the gloves off and like smacked the shit out of him.
God, that was
And he
great.
smiled.
It
And
was
he just,
great.
that was my favorite moment of the match, is then Roman just looks at me, he's like, fuck you. That was beautiful.
And you just see like Brock lose it. Like he just full out like, you know, I'm done playing. I'm gonna kick your ass. Now I'm just gonna kick your ass.
Yes. But
Correct me if I'm
this
wrong.
was a great match.
I don't know if Paul Heyman from ringside is like, he's disrespecting you.
Oh,
he's disrespecting
I love
you.
that. I love how
Was that in this match, or am I
It
thinking
was
of
no,
something
it
else?
was because every time Roman would kick out, Paul would get pissed, and he would tell him, "You see that? He's disrespecting you." And it's like he's instructing him, like, hit him with another F5 or do
Hit
it
him
outside.
harder.
Yeah.
But this was not a technically great match, but
No,
from a
but-
storyline perspective,
Yes.
it was gorgeous.
I didn't mind. As a WrestleMania main event, too, I thought this was great. I thought this was awesome. And then we get to an impromptu.
I felt like this match would have been the one to win people over.
Yes. Well, if only we could have seen what would have happened had it continued and Seth had not cashed in. But spoiler alert, Seth Rollins, after the fourth F5, Seth Rollins' music hits. He runs down to the ring.
Both men are down.
A couple of curb stomps later, Seth
No, wait,
Rollins.
okay, don't just sell it quick. Because, okay, so this is the... You wanted to know why I got back to WWE? That was the moment. Both men are down after another F5. It's like Brock is hesitating to pin him because he's like, damn it, I've done so much to just almost kill you. I'm trying to get over there. And then you hear Seth's music. I'm like, okay.
The pop.
He just had, I think, the greatest match of his career in WrestleMania with Randy Orton. He picked the right time to cash in, personally, to me. At the time, yeah, you may not agree with it.
No. I agree with it, but I think you guys, I don't know if you guys know, but apparently that was not planned like a couple hours, before the match.
It was just a few minutes in.
I think they realized that, hey, people are not going to be happy with this. Hey, Seth, you're cashing in tonight.
But even Seth was like, all right, let's do this. And he sold it so well because
Roman's dad was pissed off.
there is a lot of people.
Because Roman was told he was going to win.
Yeah.
Thank God he did. But, okay. Normally when you cash in Money in the Bank, you're kind of like walking down the ramp like, yeah, this is my moment. I'm going to do it. No, Seth just blasted his way into the ring like, here, do it. Make the match happen now. Ring the bell.
And I think this is the most unique cash-in we've seen because of the fact that it was in the middle of another match. So he just adds himself in.
It was so funny because once the event ended, I'm like, look, I love Seth walking out as champion, but why in the middle of the match? Why don't you have the match end and then cash in? Because I was so used to that concept of, when the champion is very, very vulnerable. But now that I look back, I'm like, you know what? No, I think this played out just perfectly.
This
it
was
just
more
what
exciting.
Yes.
Because
versus having an edge after the Elimination Chamber kind of cash.
And it was new. While it was the same old concept, it was a new dynamic to the concept.
And on top of that, too, it's like we don't have to end the WrestleMania traditionally with a champion winning and then
Good guy.
yeah, we have, I think, the best ending in a WrestleMania event in a while. And then, yeah, 2 curb stomps later, and what he did it to Brock first.
He gave 2 to Brock and 1 to Roman.
And then Roman came in for a spear. Brock F5s him. Seth shoves Brock out the ring, doesn't he?
No.
Or is that when he hits
No,
it?
so
Brock gets Roman up.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Brock gets Seth up for the F5. Roman
in
spears
the middle
Brock.
of the curb stomp.
Oh, that's right. Seth falls off, avoiding
falls
any
off.
damage, and then curb
Curb
stomps
stomp,
Ramen.
1, 2, 3. Yep.
Ramen. Curb stomps ramen.
Curb stops ramen. I could go for some ramen right now.
So crunchy.
So sweet. But I think this was the perfect way to cap off that WrestleMania because
Thank
To
you.
ruin Roman.
Thank you so much. as
only
we
for
know.
him, only for it to happen again 3 years later,
But so you have.
and it's happening at SummerSlam.
I think that the choice to do this was to preserve both of them, because then you have Roman take all the damage from Brock. Brock doesn't take the fall, and Seth walks out with the title. So I think that was the whole concept they came up with. But as we know by now, and you can find this. I don't know if you can find this on the WWE Network. They may have altered the audio. But you hear Seth right after he hits that curb stomp.
Thank you so
whispers,
much.
"Thank you so much" to Roman, because Roman just lost his WrestleMania moment to Seth. So
Well deserved, Seth. Well
He
deserved.
can't even keep a straight face when he says it.
Well, because think about it. Like, the guy just ruined someone's moment.
Well, I heard Steve Austin talking about his podcast. If we can quickly touch on the Rumble for a second on that year. where Austin was like, imagine if someone came up to you if you're a superstar and they said, you're winning the Rumble. What are you going to say? No? Let's give it to someone else? And I can see that, but the WWE in the 90s, especially in the Attitude Era, were very good about, hey, so-and-so the fans are cheering him. We got to turn him. We got to make him win the Rumble. With Roman, it's like, are you guys even paying attention? Daniel Bryan was the one guy where we're like, okay, he had his Mania moment, but however, it fell short. We want Bryan back in that spot again.
Yeah.
No, we're going with Roman. The Rock comes out trying to save the whole ordeal, and he couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
The fact that you can't even get Dwayne to fix it.
So,
And I still feel bad for Rey Mysterio from the other
previous year?
WrestleMania or Royal Rumble. Ugh. Yeah.
but I mean, when you're talking about stealing his moment, I feel like Roman kind of stole Bryan's spot. Just saying.
And do you think that's a way of like stealing it back, but not for Bryan, but for himself?
For himself.
Well, I mean, like you said, Seth's not going to say no when they say you're going out there to cash in.
But imagine, like, let's say if it was planned from the beginning of the show that Seth's going to cash in. That would make sense. Because the guy has joined the Authority, and in the Randy Orton match, he proved that, hey, this guy could be the future. The future is now. It's at Mania,
Yeah.
you know?
It didn't have to be at that moment. He didn't have to. If he had won against Randy, I don't think it would have made it any sweeter for him to win the championship.
Fun
I
fact, that's his only loss at WrestleMania is this to Randy Orton.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, if it was the other way around where he had won, it wouldn't be such a more captivating moment.
Yeah.
I think because he lost, it's like, okay, this isn't your moment yet. Give it an hour and a half more.
Well, it wasn't even planned at that point.
Exactly.
You know?
But and like you said, I don't think they had decided on it until later on. But the nice thing about having him lose to Randy was that it kind of buried him in people's minds, so that when he came out, it had that much more fire behind it. So
Yes.
it was a happy coincidence.
Happy accident.
But as far as WrestleMania moments go, Seth spinning that title over his head on the ramp.
And JBL yelling,
That's a beautiful
the heist of the century. JBL was spot on. He was spot on.
Grant said he knew how to fucking make people's lives live in hell.
All right, guys, as we wrap up, any last minute remarks on WrestleMania as the event? I mean, I've gone on record of saying that this year's WrestleMania was also great, and you can kind of see the parallels of the whole Roman and Lesnar match. But WrestleMania 31 to me was 5-star WrestleMania. Loved every bit of it.
That's what brought me back. Like I said, that's what made me love the WWE again, because it had great matches, great storytelling. It had a little bit of everything from the past to the present
and
to
future.
the future. And I'm glad that had been orchestrated so well for me to want to come back. Granted, the following WrestleManias, 32 and 33, were decent.
Lackluster.
Decent to lackluster. 34 being great,
Yes.
except the main event.
I loved it personally.
Well, yeah, but still the fact that he's in the main event. Swear to God.
Bleeding with 27 F5s, beaten, humiliated, walking out, pity walk.
Oh, the pity walk could have been better if he didn't walk.
This match would have stood out in the history of WWE if the following three Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar matches hadn't been the same goddamn match.
Thank you.
If we can touch on that for a brief second, I think that if Roman ever, developed that side of where the fans could relate, I think everyone would be chomping at the bit where if everyone was behind Roman Reigns, like, hey, what about that Brock Lesnar match? When is that happening again? Because we never got a definitive end to that match. So if he's in the right state of mind where he's over with the fans, you could build that up so properly and have Roman go over it, and it would be so appropriate.
Turn him heel.
Elbow slam. I just have something in my throat.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it a bad case of suffering succotash?
there's something in the air.
You've got to stop that.
Roman doesn't stand a chance unless
Unless what?
Right. Is Dan playing devil's advocate?
I'm playing an advocate.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you all next time.